Welcome. Hello. And, I just started off completely wrong right there. I had something else in my mind. I am so sorry. This is what happens when you're live. I'll try that again. Rewind. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Great Convos, where we always say, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find great convos. I am Roger Caesar, and that gentleman over there.
Hi, Roger. I'm Alexandre Matt. And hello to everybody joining us, including E10, Elios,
Yes.
who was the first one to write a comment today.
Right away.
Very grateful for you, E.T., for being here every week. Kathy as well. Hello, bonjour. Oh, a bilingual hello today. Roger, before we go into today's topic, can you give me a quick update on what's been going on in the past week on your end?
Oh, my goodness. I have had a very busy but wonderful week. I got the opportunity to go to a foundation celebration for that matter, a fundraising celebration on Friday. It was to get dressed up and be in costume. We took the whole Caesar Empire speaking and coaching team and went to $1 million Smiles Foundation by, her name is Anna Lopez. And this is a foundation that builds, hear this, they build playgrounds in the backyards of families with children who are terminally ill. And they literally do it in a way that is kind of like Extreme Makeover, for those who remember that show.
Right.
They start at 9 o'clock in the morning and they are done by 2 o'clock. And shout out to Anna and also to Joe, who said he's now got that down to a science where they literally can do it by 12 o'clock. And the idea is to help families, especially the kids, to feel like they have something that they can do in that period of time, which kind of gets into what we've been talking about or going to talk about today. And of course, we had the District 123 Awards Gala, which I was a part of. I was a keynote speaker for that. And of course, I was very humbled and honored to receive an award for the Appreciation Award for all the service that I have done for the district throughout the years. So that's it.
Very nice. Wow. Thank you, Roger. And yes, indeed, the $1 million Smiles, that, this goes directly into our topic. It's when we talk about the seeing the glass half full, being an optimist in the face of major adversity. That's an extreme example. Wow.
Of course, and we'll talk about that. But what about you, Alex? What have you been up to?
Well, over the weekend was the end of the Festival Les Vieux Montcomté, a Franco-Ontarian storytelling festival, and it ended with the what's it called? Le Concours Franco-Ontarien de la plus grande menterie. Literally, the Franco-Ontarian contest for the biggest lie. It's like a tall tales contest.
I think you touched on that the other day, right?
That's right. Yes, and while I was not a contestant, I was the MC, and so I had a lot of fun just presenting the contestants. But also, while the judges were deliberating, I gave my own story. I had a lot of fun with that, and the punch at the end was well received. I wasn't sure if it was because I had not practiced in front of a real audience except for my children, and they actually helped me make the punch better. So I'm quite grateful for them for helping me in my storytelling.
You see, that leads into what we're talking about here as well, right? And today's episode is all about being thankful, but not only that, being thankful in tough times. And we figured we were going to talk about this. Alex and I were going to talk about this a couple weeks ago, but we decided to go in a different direction and bring this here on the heels of our Thanksgiving weekend. And of course, to our friends down south, theirs is coming up on the 28th, I believe, of November is when they will be celebrating Thanksgiving. And so we wanted to talk about, well, what you are thankful for, but not only what you are thankful for, but in those tough times, are you still thankful for something?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's very difficult to be grateful sometimes, right? You mentioned children who are terminally ill. Like, I can't imagine, being in a family where it's going to end, and how easy must it be to uh, by default go to everything going wrong, everything's bad. But
Yeah.
that's not helpful, nor for the family, and especially not for the child. So I'm so happy for these charities, such as the one that you helped, that
Mhm.
can find the best way to live the life that's left.
Yeah, Alex, I'm telling you the stories that were given on Friday really touched my heart.
Mm.
I'm a father. I have two beautiful daughters, and number one, it reminded me of when my oldest daughter was born and the complications that she had. And of course, she's fine, but it made me wonder, what if it didn't go that way? What if it were a situation like some of these families who were there that have to suffer and deal with the problems of having a terminally ill child, and to know that there's a foundation like this, and if we can even put it in our chat, if I don't know if we could do that, but $1 Million Smiles, go to their website. If you want to donate, please do. The smiles on some of the kids' faces when they would see the team come in and work on these playgrounds, and when it's completed, and of course they cater it to what the child needs. And that's what's so beautiful about it. If they cannot walk, then they figure a way to make the playground accessible to them. But it's such an amazing feeling to see how many people were there. It's probably over about, I'd say 300, 400 people that were in that banquet hall,
Wow.
all dressed up in Halloween costumes, all there for a good cause. And it really touched my heart to know that that's exactly what we need to see in a moment that is tough, that they are thankful for organizations and foundations like this.
Yeah. Now it's tough to find the positive when we are in tough times, and
Of course.
Kathy's helping us by using one metaphor, and there are countless others, right?
Mhm.
Kathy says, "I like to look for the silver lining in every cloud."
Yeah.
It's almost like saying, when it's raining out, or when it's big gray clouds, you can still say the sun is
Right.
shining
Yeah.
beyond the clouds. The glass is half full instead of half empty. Someone might even
That's.
say, your glass is too big
Mhm.
in order to have a full glass. So I think we'll touch on that in a few minutes, of
Yeah. Of course.
concrete steps of how can you really do this, find thankfulness, find gratitude when it is so difficult. But um, we have, we could find examples in our own life of times where it's been tough,
Mhm.
but we found some way to go through it thanks to gratitude, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Roger, has that happened to you?
Oh, of course, on many occasions, Alex. I think that life brings you a lot of challenges, and oftentimes we're quick to look at the negatives that are pertaining to it in that moment, rather than finding a way to step back for a second and see, okay, what are the things that I could be thankful for, right? I've talked about when my friend passed away many years ago in that shooting, and of course for myself who was involved in it and was shot. I'm always thinking about the bad things, but I'm here. I'm here, and the reason why I've got to be thankful for those moments is to say that there's a reason that I'm here, and maybe for what I do now in speaking and motivating and inspiring others and helping others in many ways, this is my way of being thankful for that tragedy in that
Mm.
tough time. And there's many others. When my daughter was born and having to see her struggle in those moments when she was born and thinking all the worst things, instead of saying, you know what, there's really, really great doctors here.
Right.
There are amazing staff here helping to make sure that my child survives, and she did. And so forever, I am grateful for Dr. Ein, God rest his soul, but I'm grateful for Dr. Ein and for what he was able to do in that moment. I look at my child now and you would never know anything had happened at all. She's every bit as much the healthy child that she was meant to be. But in that first moment, all the negatives came in.
Of course. I wonder if it's a human reflex that it's normal to immediately think of what's going wrong. Is it a coping mechanism? Is it um, a way for us to, like, if we think of the lizard brain and how we were many generations ago, let's say
Right.
thousands or hundreds of thousands of years ago, did we need to look at the bad things in order to better survive in our environment?
Right. Yeah, and Alex, I want to say to our listeners, thank you again for being here. But if you have comments with regards to things that you are grateful for in tough times, please put it in chat. 2 weeks ago, you and I sat here and we talked about a very tough situation with the 1-year anniversary of the wars that were happening. And you, being obviously Jewish, you talked about how you felt about everything, but maybe you can even touch on how you feel in terms of, in a tough time like this, is there something that you could still be grateful for?
Yeah, well, speaking of tough times, that's a big one. And let me say thank you to Rob, who mentions that psychology studies show that humans are wired to think of a worst case scenario as part of the fight or flight response. Yes, thank you, Rob.
Yes, thank you, Rob. Shout out to Rob for always being here as well. Thank you.
So, yeah, we commemorated the 1-year anniversary of the horrible massacres of October 7th of last year. And from that time, it was really difficult. I mean, I'm not even sure that it was in my radar to think, oh, what can I be thankful for now? I'm not sure that the timing would have been right either.
Now
But
that you've stepped back, and you can think about it from that perspective, is there stuff that you can be thankful for?
well, yes. So the point of, if I look at the whole history of the Jewish people, October 7 was one event in a series of events, of pogroms, of massacres that Jews have lived throughout history at the hands of various enemies, peoples also. And every time, and this might sound a little funny, but every time that happens, it becomes a holiday. So when we have Hanukkah, we remember what happened when the Greeks tried to kill us, and we survived. When there is a Pesach, we remember when the the pharaohs wanted to enslave us and kill us, and we survived and thrived. So every holiday is a celebration of what came after. We sometimes will say, they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat. So it feels like this is one other episode that will end in let's eat. In fact, there's a documentary that recently came out from Israel, documenting the massacre of October 7, including at the where it started at the Nova Music Festival. So imagine all these kids from 18 to 25 years old and just dancing, and then that's where it starts. The documentary is titled "We Will Dance Again." So it's about resilience, and about, even in the face of the worst atrocities that you could imagine, still finding the strength to continue celebrating and living life to the fullest.
Right, right, right. And on the note that you had said with regards to, I remember you said it before we got on, and it just brought back something to me with regards to even my daughter. You said that somebody had said, but at least I have children, right? And so that's how I got to look at it. Even in the worst times, at least I'm able to have my children. You have your family. You watch your daughters are now growing, and even in the midst of all that is happening, to look into your own circle and say, I'm very happy to have them here.
Right. And sometimes with growing children, there are some episodes that can be a little rocky. I've got some almost teenagers now, and I
Yep.
can only imagine what's what difficult times we will have. We might have some tough times.
You might be wondering, you might be saying to yourself, yeah, well, I may have these children.
Well, yeah. Let me tell you this, Roger. There's a song by Steph Paquette, a Franco-Ontarian songwriter, interpreter. His song is titled Tout ce que je veux, which means all that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And the key line is, le bonheur, c'est pas d'avoir ce qu'on veut, mais c'est de vouloir ce qu'on a. Do you want some subtitles?
Oh, well, it would be nice. Thank you.
He says, he sings, happiness, it's not having what you want, but it's wanting what you have. That's the refrain. That's what comes back often. But inside the song, there are lyrics that can touch almost everyone, including, I just want my kids to go to bed. Sometimes, you've got, especially with smaller children, you can think, oh, why won't they just go to bed? Why can't they just do what they need to do? Respect me. I'm the father here. But when I hear that song, I'm reminded of those tough times, or sometimes I can think about that message as I'm trying to make my children do something, and just remember that I have them, and it is wonderful to see them. If they're not going to bed, why? It's because they're enjoying their life. It's because they're showing me something that they want to me to be proud of. I don't know why they're not going to bed, but they're doing something else, something good, something to show their love for life, for the family.
Right.
Love
Are you grateful?
what you have.
Love what you have. Yes. Yes. Write that one down. Love what you have. Love what you have. I think I literally just put a post out on my social medias, simply saying just that. It's one thing that you want to be, you want to dream big, and you want to do things and achieve so much. But at the core of it, be grateful for what you have, and have the faith that whatever happens, you will get to where you need to get to. Right. But it takes being grateful, being thankful for even the things that you do have right now. And despite wanting this and wanting that, or wishing for this and wishing that this would work out a different way, sometimes it's about grounding yourself and being grateful in the moment, and look around you and see some of the positive things that you have in your life. There's all the reason in the world, and Rob touched on it already. There's all the reason in the world for us to go to the immediate negative thoughts. But if we can step back for a second and look around us and see, well, okay, that may not be working according to plan, but what is it that I can look at and say, okay, here's the positives, here's what I'm grateful for, here's what I'm thankful for. Let's see if we can work on this.
Right. So let's touch on why, a little more of why, because if we are hardwired to look at the negative, why should we force ourselves to look at the positive things in life? What's so good about that? Now it's been demonstrated through various research that when you are grateful, or when you have a grateful mindset, that it is positive for your mental health. That it can, well, it's better for resilience, better for future success as well. So,
Mhm.
with that said, Roger, what are some concrete steps that we could take to have a more positive mindset, or to find gratitude even in tough times?
Somebody told us, I remember someone saying this to me, and it's the 24-hour process. And I know it sounds crazy, but it works when it comes to business. And it's one of my clients that was saying this when it came to handling confrontations and difficulties. And I almost feel like it can also work in moments like this. Maybe not for 24 hours, but again, stepping back and observing the situation before you react. So
Hmm.
stepping back before we react in these times. It is a natural feeling for us to look for the worst, the scenarios. And there are some of us that I would say probably go straight to, okay, what can we do to fix this? And that's the great thing. But if we step back before we react, I think there is an opportunity for you to observe and to think about everything that can possibly go right, rather than constantly
Right.
thinking about what has gone wrong. What
It's a
about you?
well, I gotta say that's a great way to avoid road rage as well.
Mhm.
Sometimes we are quick to react when we're behind the wheel because we're protected by a big steel structure. But how would we react if we were in front of that person? Sometimes we do react quickly, so I like that. Step back before you react. I like it. Here's something to think about too. Um, you might hear about daily journaling. What are 3 or 5 things that you can be grateful for, either at the
Mm.
beginning of the day or at the end of the day, or both? Why not?
Mhm.
Um, you can take time, and maybe in the middle of the day, just to pause and think, what do I have? Maybe especially when things are going wrong. If you're working and nothing's going your way, and you don't know how you're going to finish your workday,
Mhm.
sometimes pausing is a good thing to do, and just remember what you do have, either personally in your life, generally speaking, your gratitude, or maybe it's even better to think about what you do have in that work day. But
Mhm.
here's something interesting too, and this is someone shared this with me this morning.
Mhm.
In the way that we talk, we can show more gratitude, and sometimes it's subtle and hidden. Did
Mm.
I say that right? Hidden.
Yeah.
The example that she gave was, I only have this. So it's like, well, I would like to start my business, but I only have $500. I would like to go on a trip, but I only have two weeks of vacation time. So the,
Right.
the word the word only,
Mhm.
usually in those sentences, can be removed. And when you do that, you realize that you have something instead of missing something. So I want to start a business, and I have $500. Just changing how you say it can change
Mhm.
your outlook, and you can think, okay, what can I do with what I have? I want to go
Right.
on a vacation, and I have 2 weeks of free time.
Right.
What can I do with
Yeah.
that? So it's, instead of a limiting mindset, it's a, what's the word?
Uplifting.
Uplifting. Yeah, I'm looking for abundance. It's an abundance mindset, right?
Okay. I'll add one more thing for everyone. If you're not doing it now, please try to do it. Every time you go to bed at night, think of one win that you had during your day. Think of something that you can look back at and say, you know what? That worked out. That went the right way. That was positive. That made me feel good. I'm glad I did that for that coworker. Something positive that you could go to bed with, a win. Find a win before you go to bed every night that you can look at and say, all right, that's something that I can take with me to the next day.
Hmm.
And I agree with you. In the mornings, write down three things that you are grateful for. And sometimes it might be hard, but if you can find something that you could be grateful for, writing it down, journaling, There are people that journal. I don't journal, but I do find 3 things that I'm grateful for. So maybe that's another way we can do that.
Yeah. Kathy says it's a winning mindset as we lay to rest. Isn't that a great way to go to bed? And it probably helps us for the following day. So not only does it put a nice end to the day, but it starts off the next day, because you might, something probably happens in your brain during the night that makes you wake up with that already positive mindset. So as we finish today, we can ask you, and you can write it in the comment, or at least think of it in your mind and in your heart. What can you be thankful for today? Because I think as we've discussed here, Roger, I don't know if you agree, when we are more grateful, even if in tough times, it can turn that into positive action for ourselves and for those around us.
Yes, 100%. I agree. You want to take us out?
Well,
final thoughts?
Well, that was my final thought. I'm going to give you the final words.
That's the final thought. That's it.
Wait, final thought. That's a great way of ruining the ending, Roger, just as you did with the beginning. I am so thankful for you and your great attitude.
Most definitely. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Again, another spirited conversation. We loved having your input in the chat. We thank you for always participating. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with us. And I believe your mom was here too, wasn't she?
Yes, I saw her name. Hello, Mama.
Mom. Hi, Mom. How you doing? As we always say here, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find great convos. Please continue the conversations wherever you are and look for a win and be grateful. Take care, everyone.
Have a great week.